Okay, viewers, this is Dr. James VOND, and it's still Wednesday, 8th of April 2026. And right now I'm at the Futures Monument in Coventry City Centre on Hale Street, just across the Coventry Transport Museum. And that's the monument there, right behind me. And local time is approaching sunset time. And you can tell from the background as well, it's almost sunset time. The precise time is actually 7:45 p.m. That's 1945. That's the time right now. And there's a lot of friendship plaques here on this Futures Monument. Poignant reminder, obviously, the international and local links with the city. And in my previous videos, I was actually talking about when I was at Hillfields area in particular. I was mentioning the international sex workers that work here in the city and what kind of backgrounds they're likely to be. And I mentioned things like Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, Spain, Germany, and even Brazil. Those are the top ones. But Ireland itself is not counted as one of those. It's actually, because it's on the British Isles, it's considered close to being Britain. There's some Irish origin ones as well, but it's mostly those other countries that I've mentioned who are sex workers there. And so that's the international field of their sex work, obviously. So the residents here as well, most likely operating in houses these days, not on the streets. And they do charge around £40 and upwards, £40 minimum per client for about a 15 to 20 minute session, which isn't usually enough for most people. And obviously they do rush people, and you don't really have time to even jerk off properly. I mean, they just rush people. That's the thing, you're under pressure with 15 minutes. What can you do? And that's all you can afford. And remember that film, Gemini Man, the TV series? Never exceed 15 minutes. Well, that applies there as well. You will go bankrupt. If you exceed 15 minutes, most people will go bankrupt. I don't know, it depends on their income, unless they're really filthy loaded, you know. High rollers, in other words. Some people do have the money, and obviously it's a different story for them altogether, so I can't speak for everyone. But most people are, these days, affected by the rising cost of living and the limited resources that's available to them, especially from income from welfare and other places. They're just struggling for food, to pay the food bills, you know, the meals, that's about it. You have to learn anything else, and the clothing as well, that's even exceptional costs, you know, and where do they have the money left over for? So they can't really enjoy themselves. There's not much pleasure there, is there? So never exceed 15 minutes, that's the advice I would give as well. Who can afford that anyway? And like I said, it is that sort of thing. And you are kind of rushed as well, and you don't really feel comfortable doing that. You're rushing things, not taking your time. You're better off paying 100 or 100 euros, that is, if you're in Europe. They charge 50 euros for 15 minutes. So that's in Netherlands, Amsterdam, or in Geneva, you'll be paying 50 euros minimum, but it's actually 100 euros for a non-rushed service. Otherwise, you're going to be rushing it, and you're not going to really benefit from that. It's not going to be a good experience. They're mostly like that, all of them. And why have the sex workers been stopped from the streets of Hillfields? Well, there's a lot of explanations there. Obviously, they are kind of objectionable to many peoples and many communities in the local area. That's the number one reason. As well as that, they're not really acceptable, that means, or tolerated. by quite a large number of people, especially those communities that can put pressure on people like that. So they've been gotten rid of by those sort of people, those people in the community, and obviously they're being going to affect their children as well as themselves, and normal women as well who walk on the streets. They don't want to be proposed by those sort of people, people who are going for the sex workers as their clients, and they can't treat normal women as clients, and that's unacceptable for them as well, and they don't want to be approached by those sort of people. So that's why it's a very sensitive issue, and it does affect those sort of people, and they've objected, of course, and they don't want to be, approached by them sort of people, looking for them sort of women, them sex workers. So that's what's got rid of them. It's not just the children in the area; it's other women, and they don't accept that. They don't tolerate that. They object to that sort of behaviour, and they don't want to be called themselves or labelled as sex workers themselves when they don't do anything of the kind. So that's important to remember. So for those reasons, the communities, certain members of the communities, especially strictly religious groups and things, they've obviously gotten rid of them, and maybe they need to be put in different areas of the city where they can do that safely without being scornfully kind of scrutinised. It does depend on where they are located, obviously, and if they're located to those sort of people, then they're going to have problems, aren't they? So that's what I reckon has happened. And also, there's a large influx of students now in the city, so that's affected that as well. Student accommodations and students living near or about where those sex workers are operating, that's changed the scene vastly, especially in the last 2 decades. You won't see those sex workers on those normal streets in some areas because students have now entered the scene. Student villages almost like, and so you won't see students mingle with the sex workers. Obviously, that wouldn't be allowed, would it? Kind of. So the student community has gone up, and that's another factor, like I said, for the deterioration, for the removal of them sex workers on the streets, and plus it's unsafe as well for them being on the streets. They're not actually in the shops, like in Netherlands or Amsterdam, for instance, and in Switzerland, Geneva. They're in the shops, so they're completely safe there, or almost safe. There's no such thing as completely safe, but a lot safer. And obviously, from the elements, the terrain out there, the weather, harsh conditions, weather conditions, that wouldn't affect them if they're in the shops. The harsh weather, that makes a lot of difference as well, and they can be in their bikinis, etc., and not make such a objectionable kind of reaction to members of the public, because they're in the shops. You see, they're working in the shops there, whereas on the streets is much more dangerous, and they're liable to get attacked from the public members as well. Like I mentioned, it could be an outcry for some people. I mean, some people are covered head to toe. Obviously, those are kind of really religious types. But the more they're covered, obviously, that's the indication of, avoidance of sexual kind of thing, isn't it? That's the kind of norm, the law. Whereas if they're not wearing anything, obviously, they're more kind of available in it, or kind of approachable. Maybe people can maybe look at them and things like that. So they're really kind of are more exposing to themselves to others as well. So that makes a big difference on the people's reaction and how they would come up to them. They can't actually do that if they're fully clothed. And most of them are kind of troopers there, old troopers or whatever you want to call them, worn out ones, especially in the Hillfields area. The old troopers up there, in all terrain conditions, extreme weather conditions, but they are not well dressed, and not like I said, they are kind of old hags, in some cases worn out, and not really appealing or arousing enough in some cases, and although there might be some exceptions. Obviously, there are immigrant communities out who are working as well from different parts of Europe, and even outside of Europe. Like I mentioned, there's Brazilians here as well. They charge a bit more, but they're in the houses. And you remember that film, Operation Crossbow, starring George Peppard, A-Team guy, the late George Peppard. Remember that scene? And there's Biju and that other character, Dr. Engels, the pair of them, and then they get fake names or something on that mission, on that secret mission, to foil the operation of the of their enemy, and the vengeance rockets, etc. Whatever there is that they're going to send off, and their mission is obviously to sabotage that and get in and destroy that factory or whatever it is, that machinery, that weaponry, and they've been given false names. Obviously, Biju and Dr. Engels. Biju's got the worst identity. He's actually been put down as the spouse of Ursula. And you know who Ursula is these days? Ursula von der Leyen, the woman that's had 7 kids. So what does that mean? He's been fixed up with someone who's had 7. Does he look like a father of 7 kids? No way. His ID's been botched. Obviously, he's a fool. Obviously, with that sort of name, Biju, with a wife like Ursula. But on the other hand, Dr. Engels, he makes up for the loss for Biju getting shot dead, when he's held captive and accused of having a fake identity. Dr. Engels says when he's at the factory, switch on R9. Remember that scene in the factory? Switch on R9. Make up for the loss, eh? That's 2 more than R7, isn't it? When he infiltrates that place. More of a true film, isn't it? Obviously. And I don't know why they killed off Sophia Lorenz. Come off it. That's terrible, isn't it? I mean, he had sex with her, he had a shag with her and everything, and she's so nice to him. They didn't need to kill her. George Peppard, especially, he should have not allowed her to get killed, especially after sexing her and everything. And she's on their side. She's been helpful to them. Sophia Lorenz, that actress, she was playing that part, and she got shot dead, even after sexing George Peppard, which is out of order, isn't it? And obviously, Biju got the wrong identity, with being accused of being a spouse of Ursula. Switch on R9. Okay, I'm at the co-ops now, on Fairfax Street. I might just go in there. I've just been down to Sainsbury's. I bought some items there, just a trickle, a small amount. I might just buy something there. I'll end this video now. Dr. James VOND, otherwise Dr. James VONDUTCH in full, on Wednesday, the 8th of April, 2026. And remember, never exceed 15 minutes, just like the Gemini man, if you're one of the sex workers and are kind of impoverished person.